and welcome to English Teacher Plays. We're here with a very special episode today. I received this notice to cease and desist in my email last night, so I decided we'd cover it today and talk about, the wrong way to respond to reasonable criticism and, what this kind of means and what I'm going to be doing from here. Basically just sort of interrogating, what's going on with this cease and desist letter. So, let's get into it. Let's read the letter. Notice to cease and desist from Forge Father Games, Inc. Date, I think that's May 1st. It's American dating, probably, 2022. Defamation of character for libel and or slander. Dear English Teacher Plays, not my name, that's the name of my channel, I guess. Forge Father Games is a respected professional in the community and has spent their life building a positive reputation. Nevertheless, we have been informed that you have been maliciously spreading inaccurate and unfounded information that is damaging to their personal and professional character. Okay, I'm not sure who the we is in here. This isn't from, the desk of a law firm or anything. This is just a letter that someone wrote. But that's fine. Under the laws in the state of California, it is unlawful for an individual to make deliberate statements that intend to harm a person's reputation without factual evidence or based on hearsay. That's true. Since I received this letter, I've been doing some research of my own on defamation and the laws in the state of California, where I definitely am not. I live in New Zealand. But that's fine. That's fine. We can still look at the laws in the state of California, and we'll go into that in a second. That's gonna be coming. We're gonna go into the actual defamation laws that he's purporting to be hitting me with. But the defamatory statements include, but are not limited to, the following: unfinished, unpolished, uninspired, it's pretty janky, soulless, overpriced. Immediately remove the review. So I'm not sure if immediately remove the review is part of the defamatory statements, or if it's just meant as an addendum, but it's just kind of randomly added to the end there, but that's fine. I'm pretty sure I did say those things about his game being Requiem, of course, which we will also look at later on. So this is going to have the kind of opposite effect that he is hoping for, but that's fine. If you do not cease all related statements, a defamation of character lawsuit will be commenced against you. Great. I'm really, really looking forward to you having to pay my legal fees, because that's all that's going to happen here. In addition, this shall serve as a pre-suit letter demanding that you provide us written assurance within 10 days that you will cease and desist from making further factually untrue statements. If you do not comply with this cease and desist letter within the aforementioned time period, then a lawsuit may be filed in the proper jurisdiction seeking monetary damage, as well as pursuing all available legal remedies for your defamation. Sincerely, J.R. Vosovic. So this is the developer. And the we that the we that is included in this email is actually eforms.com, which you can't quite see on the thing, but I'll show you in another tab. Now, I don't have any problem with this site. This is a great site. Create your legal documents in minutes. It's a place for regular people to create legal documents. But what it does mean is that the person sending me this hasn't consulted with a lawyer. They've just decided that I defamed their character. Because if they had spoken with a lawyer, if they had talked to an actual person who understood the law, then they would know that this isn't going to work. I'm well within my rights to give my honest opinion and review the game. But we'll cover all that. I've got a few links here that I'd like to talk about, that I'd like to get into, and we're gonna do that within 10 days. He's dated the letter for the 1st of May, and then I received it on the 27th. So right away, I'm unable to comply with the letter because it's already past the 10 days of the date of the letter. So, and he emailed it to me, so it's not like it came in certified post or anything. I wasn't served, but. Yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I did say that stuff. That is a quote from me, but that's all my opinion. So let's look at California defamation law, libel and slander laws. Now, this is not the California penal, the civil code. This is here that you guys can see. You've got libel and slander, you've got personal rights, you've got more libel and slander. But I've got a few things open that do a much better job of explaining it than actually reading the laws here. So libel and slander law under California law, of course. It's a broad term for false statements made that cause damage to someone's reputation. Sure. The key word there being false. The other thing here is that here's the elements that have to be in place for the case to go forward, right? An intentional publication of a statement of fact that is false, that is unprivileged, that has a natural tendency to injure or which causes special damage, and the defendant's fault in publishing the statement amounted to at least negligence. Right, so potentially my review of his game could cause special damage, which is like monetary damage. It could drive business away, because that's the definition of special damages. Now, in California, there's two types of special damage that falls into two categories. The defamation falls into two categories: defamation per se, defamation per quad. Per se is defamatory statements that are damaging on their face, like they just are damaging. That person is a robber, or that person, just something that you're saying that is obviously untrue and about a specific person that is going to damage their reputation. So that's per se. Now, that is not the case here, because per se is a Latin term meaning of itself. Yep. California has a law has a broad definition of per se defamation. It consists of anything that is damaging on its face without further explanation. Most per se cases occur when someone falsely accuses another person of having committed a crime or being unfit to practice the person's trade, business, or profession. I don't think I ever said that. Generally, I say, hey, keep working on your programming and stuff. I'd have to go back and look at the video. Maybe I said he shouldn't be programming, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. In fact, when we go look at the review, my review is actually pretty medium. It's just got a thumbs down. Like, that's all it is. But a per quad case, which is what this would be, if a defamatory publication is per quad, it means that the publication is not defamatory on its face and requires allegations and proof of special damages. Examples of special damages might include, but are not limited to, lost profits, sure. Decreased business traffic, yep, definitely. That's the point of a negative review. And adverse employment consequences. Right, so we're in a per quad California defamation case. Fantastic. Defamation per quad cases require the use of extrinsic evidence or explanatory information to show the libel or slander. So he would have to prove using evidence that there was libel and slander. Now, in order for me to defend myself here are some common defenses against defamation, yeah? So some have been touched on already. A few of the more common defenses include the statement was true, right? So if the statement is true, if I say that car is blue, or that person is wearing a suit and they are wearing a suit, that's not defamation. That is just a statement of fact. The statement wasn't published. Well, it was published. I put it on YouTube. I put it on Steam. Sure. The statement was privileged. Nope, wasn't privileged. I'm not in a business relationship. He's not a doctor or a psychiatrist or anything like that. We're not contractually obliged in any way, so there's no privileged communication there. The statement was an opinion or fair comment on a matter of public interest. Hey, yeah, an opinion or a fair comment on a matter of public interest. So, video games on Steam are a matter of public interest because people are spending money on them. My review of that game is a fair comment, and it is my opinion. Therefore, there's no defamation because it is just my opinion, and it is a fair comment on a matter of public interest. The statement wasn't made negligently or with malice. Right? There was no malicious intent. I was just trying to play a video game, and I wasn't negligent. I wasn't just saying stuff off the cuff. Or the defendant never said anything negative about the plaintiff. I said stuff negative about the game, for sure. Yeah, I said the game was not great. I said it was unpolished, apparently, and needed more time in the oven. So, yeah. So there's a very obvious defense there. So the thing that weirds me out is, like, surely before sending this, they would have read some of this stuff, because it took me, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes of Googling to find defamation information in California. And that's not to say, like, that would even play, because I live in New Zealand. I'm a permanent resident here. This is where I live. So the defamation laws in New Zealand are very similar. Hold on, I've got them here. Right, so in New Zealand, we'll just have a look at the defamation laws in New Zealand. So, you know, if you wanted to sue me in New Zealand because it's where I live, fine. So, to legally prove defamation, a person making a claim must be able to prove that the defendant made a defamatory statement was about the plaintiff, and statement was published by the defendant. Right? Those are all true, right? The statement was made about the defendant's game, which I guess would be their company. The bit that they're not going to be able to prove is that I made a defamatory statement, because it was a comment, it was a fair comment, and it was an opinion. So in New Zealand, here are some defenses to defamation. Even if a plaintiff can prove all the elements of a defamation claim, in other words, that the defendant publicized a defamatory statement about the plaintiff, the claim may not succeed if the defendant has a defense to the claim. There are a few different types of defenses to defamation. The most common kinds include honest opinion, where the defendant can prove that they had a reasonable basis for the opinion they expressed in the alleged defamatory statement. So I have an entire video. Of just me playing this video game, where the basis for the statements that I came up with is laid out. So I have a very good defense against defamation here, because it was my honest opinion, and I have the evidence to suggest it was an honest opinion. Truth, where the statement itself is true or essentially the same as truth. So a lot of the stuff I have said is opinion. Yeah, I never say it is. I never call it truth, and we'll look at the statement in a second so you guys can see that. And consent, but that's not the main thing. So there was another section that I just wanted to look at. Right, so this is the bit that I wanted to talk about. Opinion and fair comment privileges. So this is digitalmedialaw.org. It's the Digital Media Law Project, and it's a way of sort of demystifying U.S. laws, because in New Zealand, one of the things that they do is they make the laws very easy to read and understand, but in the States, it's all like codified and it's all very complex and stuff. So the Digital Media Law Project, I think, goes about explaining things in a way that the lay person can understand. So let's go ahead and look at opinion and fair comment privileges as outlined in the U.S. Constitution. So the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution includes the right to voice opinions, criticize others, and comment on matters of public interest. Fantastic. It also protects the use of hyperbole and extreme statements when it is clear these are rhetorical ploys. Accordingly, you can safely state your opinion that others are inept, stupid, jerks, failures, etc., even though these statements might hurt the subject's feelings or diminish their reputations. Such terms represent what is called pure opinions, because they can't be proven true or false. As a result, they cannot form the basis for a defamation claim. Right? I don't think I ever called him a jerk or anything, but there's some interesting stuff there. This is not to say that every statement of opinion is protected. If a statement implies some false underlying facts, it could be defamatory. For example, stating that, in my opinion, the mayor killed her husband is not likely to be protected opinion. Couching false statements of fact as opinion or within quotes from other sources generally won't protect you either, nor will trying to cover yourself by saying that a politician allegedly is a drug dealer, or that your neighbor said the politician is a drug dealer, or that in your opinion the politician is a drug dealer. A reader may well assume that you have unstated facts to base your conclusion on, and it would be a defamatory statement if the implied facts turn out to be false. So that's interesting. So if the statements that I was making in my review of his game were trying to sort of backdoor in assumed statements that could be proven false, then that could be defamation. So there is something there. However, once again, I don't think, and I'm fairly certain, and like I'll have to go back and rewatch my video now, I don't think that I did that. All of the things that I was saying were based on the actual gameplay that I was playing, that I saw and that I experienced myself. So it was all happening at the time. All opinions that rely on underlying facts, however, are not necessarily outside the opinion privilege. If you state the facts on which you are basing your opinion, and the opinion you state could be reasonably drawn from those truthful facts, you'll be protected, even if your opinion turns out to be incorrect. So that's the big highlight there. That's huge, right? Because my opinions of his game are based on underlying facts, namely the fact that I'm playing the game and can see what it plays like and feel it and experience it. And so if the conclusions that I draw from playing the game and reading the description and stuff turn out to be false later on, as long as they were drawn from my opinion, as long as there was a reasonable basis for me to draw those conclusions, there's no case for defamation. So we'll skip a little bit. Compare the following. During the last 6 months, I've seen Carol in her backyard 5 times at around 1:30 p.m. on a weekday, seated in a deck chair with a beer in her hand. I think Carol must be an alcoholic. Compared to, I think Carol must be an alcoholic. So one has information that you can draw a conclusion from, and one is just the conclusion that you're trying to backdoor the information in. Yeah, so what I'm saying is that my review of this game was based on my experience. It was based on what was happening for me in the game. Yeah, to determine whether a statement is an opinion or fact, courts will generally look at the totality of the circumstances surrounding the statement and its publication to determine how a reasonable person would view the statement. Under this test, the difference between an opinion and a fact often comes down to a case-by-case analysis of the publication's context. So, given that a Steam review is just straight up an opinion, and it's always going to be an opinion, I think that a reasonable person would assume that my review of it is an opinion. Yeah. So that kind of gives you an idea of the legal ramifications of what's going on. If we go back to our little defamation of character here, defamatory statements include, but are not limited to, unfinished, unpolished, uninspired. It's pretty janky, soulless, and overpriced. So those are all reasonable conclusions to draw from the game that I played. It was obviously unfinished. It's in early access, so that is a straight up true statement. Unpolished. Once again, it's in early access, so another true statement. Uninspired. That is an opinion, and it can be reasonably drawn from the conclusions, from the things that I played. Therefore, the conclusion that it's uninspired is my own opinion based on those experiences. It's pretty janky. That is another opinion. I thought it was janky based on my experience playing the game. Soulless is, once again, in that same boat. It's an opinion there, and it's overpriced. Also, my opinion. None of those are defamatory. None of those are false. Some are opinions. Some could be argued to be... someone else could say it's not uninspired. I found it very inspiring, but that doesn't change the fact that it's just a true opinion, as per the law. So the other thing that I do want to take one quick look at is fair use. So we looked at fair use in, this is the digital media law. This is New Zealand. We'll zoom in a little bit here so we can see it. Fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyright-protected works in certain circumstances. The Copyright Act provides the statutory framework for determining whether something is fair use and identifies certain types of uses such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research as examples of activities that may qualify as fair use. So generally criticism, and this is in the States as well, is counted as fair use. So using footage of the game and me playing the game to criticize the game is considered fair use. Now, Let's Plays have come into various gray areas, but very notable YouTubers, James Stephanie Sterling, were sued, and that failed because guess what? Fair use is a real thing, and you can use videos of the video games to criticize them, which is what I've done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go take a look at this review that caused so many problems for this developer and see what it has to say. So if you don't remember, this is Requiem here. We can watch the trailer here. Slash enemies, morph into beast form, and raise the dead to fight for you in this grim, dark Souls-like. So here's the trailer. Here's what they're showing us as, the game. I won't make any comments here. I just want you to be able to see what they're showing us as like the best parts of the game. Yeah. So Forge Father Games is the developer here. It came out on the 10th of February. It's supposed to be in early access, of course. As I said, unpolished, unfinished. That's all real things because guess what? Early access means it's unpolished, means it's unfinished. So the full version will have a polished, see, they even use it there, a feedback-focused product. New content will include more in-depth story, blah, 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 blah. The game is playable start to finish. Great. Price will increase after early access, and feedback is always considered, and we would love to hear from the community. Well, that's a joke, because they really don't want to hear feedback at all. Like, they just don't. So they have one review. There's one review of the game, and it's mine. It's my review. No one else has reviewed the games, so is it my review that's putting people off? Because often when I give someone a negative review, there are other reviews and people come in and go, oh, actually, it's not too bad. I kind of like it. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I have no dog in this race who's, keeping people away from buying games is not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to inform consumers and have some fun myself. So here's what I said. It's not bad. So I started off with I guess it is damning with faint praise, but I said it's not bad. But it is very unpolished. So right away, I'm not into one of my, most, I guess, savage reviews where, you can tell it's just an asset flip. Obviously, they spent some time developing this game, so I said it's not bad. Also, given that the other game by the same dev is still in early access, despite being released in 2020, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this game is also unlikely to get many updates. So if we take that statement and look at it, I have a piece of evidence. Their other early access game that came out in 2020, which is still in early access, followed by a conclusion. So if we remember back to our defamation, that it's not going to get many updates, that is a reasonable conclusion to draw based on the fact that their other game wasn't getting updated. You know what I mean? It is overpriced for what it is. At $5, I might give it a thumbs up, but for $24, I'm going to have to say no. And then, of course, I link the video, and that's where we're at. And we've got a couple of comments. I'll have to... So, here we go. Just needs views for his channel. The only views he has are other developers complaining that the review is unfair or unjust. He does a good job of QA, but not a review. F this idiot. So, he immediately comes in with the ad hominem attacks, but that's fine. 3 months later, you respond to my review with some ableist slurs. I really don't get what you hope to accomplish here. Yeah, so that was like 5 days ago. So apparently this one review, 5 months into this game's life cycle, really bothered him because no one else was looking at it. And here's the thing, only 85 people have watched that video. 85 people. That is how many people are interested in the game. You know what I mean? Or probably not. They're probably just watching my channel, but that's another thing. And I respond to that, and of course, then I get a cease and desist letter. So that's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. You gotta admit that that's pretty funny. So, like I usually do, let's go have a look at this developer. So they've got another game called Chronicles of Honor. This is the game that I was talking about when I said that they have another game that came out in 2020, and it's still in early access, right? So here we go. So we've been in development for some time, but we are a small team. We intend to expand the game, polish, and improve in the coming months. Sure. They want to support the game and expand it with DLC levels, items, playable characters, vehicles, and more. When we've hit a point that we and you, the community, are happy with, we will officially release. We're shooting 4 to 6 months post-launch. So finishing in 2020. Cool. It's 2022, man. 2022. And no further progress has been made. So it's got a few reviews. People saying in 2020 that it has a lot of issues. This person reviewed it in 2020 and said it still has a lot of issues, early access stuff. EA third-person shooter, prey-like, plus weapons, minus optimization, open-world roguelike RPG, slice and shoot droids. Great. And we've got a few other reviews, probably not in English, is why they're not on there. So that's their other early access game. This is the other game that they're putting into early access, but apparently they're very angry about this one not doing as well. So the last thing I want to look at, the last thing I want to show you guys is that I was curious. I was curious who I was dealing with. I wanted to know what kind of people I was dealing with. So I went to their website. So this is Forge Father Games Incorporated. I accessed this today. This is what it's looked like all day. It hasn't changed or anything. Our current projects: Chronicles of Honor, third-person action RPG, now available on Steam Early Access. We are ecstatic to bring the next chapter in the Thon IP to PC and consoles in this action-packed RPG shooter. Sure, early access gameplay, builds, and basics here. Unannounced fantasy action RPG. Yeah, so they're announcing jobs. They were looking for people to work for them. They're looking for the other thing they offer at Forge Father Games is they will help you to realize your dream project. And we will help grow your business. Over the last 2 decades, I've helped half a dozen companies grow and adapt to the ever-changing game and tech markets. Sure. I have no way of verifying any of that. But let's have a look at the founder's bio. This is J.R. whatever it was, Vosik or something like that. Anyways, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. It's not here, so I can't read it. But let's have a look. I started working when I was 8, delivering the San Jose Mercury news to my neighbors in what was then the orchards of a tiny little town called Cupertino. I spent the next decade working for the Merc. I watched Cupertino blossom into the Silicon Valley it is today. I grew my paper route from 40 friends to 360 customers, so large it had to be delivered in a car. Driving with one hand, folding and throwing from the window with the other, all while weaving back and forth across the city and neighborhood streets. I built that route from nothing. My parents taught me the importance of work ethic, setting goals, and following your dreams. Everything I have today, I have worked for using those same principles instilled in me when I was young. That's a really nice story. Yeah, I'll say that. That's like a nice little bio. I like it. I founded Forge Father Games based on those same principles. In 2003, after shipping Legacy of Kain, I helped Crystal Dynamics breath new life into a floundering Tomb Raider license. The renewed TR license has sold millions over the last decade. In 2006, I helped Obsidian expand their portfolio from traditional RPGs into the third-person action shooter market. This diversity helped land one of the largest licenses in gaming, Fallout New Vegas and its DLC content. Obsidian was purchased by Microsoft in 2018. So he helped them expand their portfolio? Okay. And then kind of trying to, it seemed this diversity helped land one of the, so it's sort of like, you know, I helped them land one of the largest licenses in gaming, Fallout New Vegas. It seems odd. That seems like an odd flex when it really had nothing to do with you, but that's fine. In 2010, I helped High Moon Studios develop a AAA Transformers title and demonstrate to Activision Blizzard that HMS was ready for the big time and tackled the COD and Destiny licenses. In 2013, Forge Father Games developed our first physical tabletop game, Thon. We also helped Ads for Dough diversify and develop a media buying game under their subsidiary Pixelwise called Startup Alley. Okay. I haven't clicked on any of these links, but like I said, I don't have any facts to countermand any of these or to counter any of these things. So I have to take them at face value. I have to assume that he's telling the truth here. If you know, if you're watching this and you know that some of these are incorrect, I'd be happy to hear about it. Or if you do know that they are correct, tell me that as well, because I'm curious. I'm curious as to why someone with this much time in the industry would make two very poorly received games and then send a very just amateurish cease and desist letter about something that just has no standing. Like, it just would never fly in court. I just don't understand how someone with this pedigree here could think that this was a good idea. In 2014, I helped Specular Interactive transition from arcade to console, VR, and iOS to diversify for acquisitions. Spec was acquired in December. In 2015, we published our first Thon novel, so I have to believe that's true. Thon seems like an IP they own. In 2016 and 2017, Forge Father Games has helped One Mind Learning, rebranded as Academic Q, develop a cutting-edge educational iOS app. In addition, we created our first Game Forge book. Sure. As well as our second Thawne novel. In 2020, 2 weeks into COVID, we released our newest third-person sci-fi Souls-like Honor. It's Chronicles of Honor now, but that's fine. 2021, we have started a new adventure game. Stay tuned. I look forward to working together. So this hasn't been updated in a long time, obviously. And we can tell that. So we'll click. So they've got a contact thing. Projects they're working on. Chronicles of Honor. Here are their other projects that they worked on. Deadpool. And Fall of Cybertron. They're taking they said they're putting Fallout New Vegas here. They're just sort of name dropping. A lot of name dropping here. I don't know if any of that's true, but that's fine. They've got a couple of books that they've done and a 3D comic brand. So that's Forge Father Games. So it's weird, and it hasn't been updated in a couple of years. So we're kind of sitting here going like, what is going on here? But with that, guys, I think I'm gonna leave it. I've taken up half hour a day. If you've stayed to the end here, I appreciate it. It's just, it's one of the things that we have to deal with in the YouTube space, and especially when you're reviewing games. I try to be fair. I try to be honest with my reviews. And contrary to his comment, I actually have a lot of developers who follow my channel because they want advice and they want to see what mistakes other people are making so they don't make them. It's a thing, I get offered a lot of games and I try and play as many as I can. Doing one video a day still means that there's thousands of games that I don't get to play, which is always unfortunate. And I'm always looking for good games. So Forge Father Games, don't keep coming after me with this because it's not going to work. Make a good game and I'll play it, and then it will be a good relationship, and we can work together. Maybe this is just a rare misstep. Maybe you had a bad day and you decided to take it out on me. Whatever it is, maybe take a deep breath and rethink what you're doing. So thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Class dismissed.